a little bit of clarity to what our goal is. So since it's a new year, it's kind of, most people want to have this clean slate.
Right.
This new beginning,
Yes.
so to say. So I kind of wanted to explain our basis, our reasoning for it. Since you and I have the similar goals. You know, when I first met you, it was a lot of the things that you said to me, it replicated into what my ambitions were. I wanted to do these things
Right.
while you were already in the process of doing it.
Right.
And I think that's what the reason why God put you in my life. And you know, there's reasons why we meet these people in our lives.
Exactly.
For you to come from all the way from Ohio,
Yeah, right.
and now you're here in Pasadena.
Yeah.
And now you're involved in my life so much. I want to, you know, express that feeling to others.
Yeah.
That's my goal, and what I see, that, you know, with God, we could change so many people's preferences, their mindsets.
Yes.
At the end of the day, we can't do that ourselves. Only He can.
Right.
But we could just be a testimony, an example of what you know, he brings to our lives.
Yeah.
And you know, like I said, we want to start by, even if it's just to you know, change my brother's life.
Yeah.
My actual own brother.
Right.
To a community, to a city, to a state,
Yep.
to the world.
Right.
Those are the goals that God's given us in our hearts.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
and it's not to say that, you know, we're not putting this is strictly for men,
Right.
because women come from the same God too.
Yep.
They come from the rib.
Right.
You know, so we have similar traits. We have similar goals. We have those things. There's so many things that we have in common, yet we are so much different. So you know, maybe later on down the line, we could bring, you know, some women involved, and
Why not?
And yeah, that'll be great, so we can see their perspective.
Right.
Because we do need to see their perspective. But as for right now, you know, since him and I are men,
Right.
you know, we have a little bit more experience in that than we do
Right.
with women. But you know, I've done the research and, you know, put a lot of effort into the things that I want to get across with men, and how to get across with them, so that they can relate to the goals and aspirations and the things that they want in life. We're similar, like I said, in a way. Just like your big homie, your guru,
Right.
the guy that you listen to in the morning when you're waking up.
Right.
Oh, I need to get this in my ear to get me up.
Right.
You know, those things that they all come from one entity, one thing that we believe that is of God. And we're not trying to change you. We just want to give you some information as to what can be about in this world, what you can bring to this world. Because I think that everybody has a purpose.
Right.
And you wake up in the morning wanting to do something, wanting to change,
Yes.
wanting to be better, want your
Absolutely.
life to
Yes.
be better.
Yep.
I mean, nobody wakes up wanting it to be worse.
No.
It's just not. That's not in our DNA.
It's not. No.
It's not. So You know, what do you think is the issue with people turning to God or turning to a higher power, or even Jesus? You know, some people believe in God but don't believe in Jesus.
Right. Right. Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
we don't have his bones.
Yeah.
We there's no proof
Yeah.
of him. You know,
Right.
What do you say to those that have that issue?
Yeah.
Or maybe it's not an issue for them. Maybe
Right.
it's just something that their belief.
Yeah.
Maybe it's through their experience. Maybe it's from a church that they went to, or
Yeah.
you know, people that they've encountered
Yep.
throughout their lives from a Christianity church, or
Exactly.
you know, someone who's trying to introduce them to Christianity and what they've seen or what they felt. What do you think is the issue or the reasoning as to why people won't turn to a God?
Well, I think a lot of it is a lot of what you already talked about. One thing that I have seen and one thing that I've learned is that we're constantly picking up information, whether it's consciously or it's unconsciously. Because we exist or we coexist within environments, right? So right now we're in our church. So we're in this environment, and there's elements that are in this environment that we're picking up information from, whether we want to or not. There's some lights that are on, and so our minds and our eyes, and I won't get too scientific because honestly I don't know all the science to it, but the fact is, you know that there's lights on, but you're not really paying attention to the lights. We're doing what we're doing, right? We're recording this podcast. But that doesn't mean that you're not picking up on the information that the light is letting off. Okay. You're always in an environment and you're always picking up information. I think, to answer your question, one of the biggest things is that from the moment we're born, we're picking up information about everything. Sure. And when someone presents Jesus, the gospel, the Bible, Christianity, the church to someone, and there is no one path, there is no one answer. Like, I believe that there's as many answers as there are people, because every person has a different take on it, a different belief system. They've been influenced by different things. Yeah. But ultimately, it's what has that person picked up over time, whether it's consciously or unconsciously. For example, I was watching YouTube the other day, and there was a street preacher, microphone, loudspeaker. So he had the speaker in his one hand, mic in his other hand. And he was outside street preaching, evangelizing, street preaching. And he was a young black brother, and he was breaking things down in a typical fashion. Repent, you know, give your life to Christ. Do you know where you're going after you die? You know, don't go to hell. You know, Jesus loves you. He wants to turn your life around. All of your basic fundamental street preaching tactics. But then he encountered this one young lady who was very receptive to it. Okay. One thing I picked up was he would use the microphone to speak, and then he would put the microphone in her face. And then she would go to speak, and then he would keep doing like that. Okay. Well, at one point, you know, she went to grab the mic, you know, because it's almost natural to grab the mic so that you can, you know, speak.
Yeah, definitely.
And he pulled it away 3 times and kept saying, I'll hold it, I'll hold it, I'll hold it. Maybe he didn't pick up on it. Maybe she didn't care about it. What I observed in that moment, and maybe it wasn't that big of a deal, but here's what I picked up. He was controlling the moment. Okay. Now, this young lady gave her life to Christ. Let me just jump to the end. Okay. She sat in the middle of the street. The police had to come and move them out the middle of the street. So he did his job. Okay. She got saved in the middle of the street. But to answer your question, why don't people come? Why don't people give their life? Why don't people really vibe sometimes with Jesus, God, Christianity, the church? Is because there's an element of control. He kept saying, do you want to give your life to Christ? Do you want to give your life to Christ? Do you want to give your life to Christ? And she's just, in all of her honesty and humility, her hand just went up. And I'll hold it. And in that moment, I was like, what's wrong with her holding it, dog? She's half your size. She gonna run off with your mic? Like, let her hold it, dog. You trying to win a soul, let her hold it, dog.
Okay.
So I hope you get what I'm saying by giving you that example. There's an element of control when it comes to God. And one of the things that I'm working on some content for is this idea that Jesus paid it all, once and for all. But yet we in the Christian faith sometimes put people under these rules and regulations that cause them to continue to have to pay for their salvation.
Okay.
He already paid. But CJ, I saw you at the club last night, man. You need to repent, and you need to this, and you need to that, and you need to this. And the truth was, you were just a bouncer. That's your hustle. That's your job. That's how you feed your family. But I saw you at the club last night. There's so much control. There's an element of control that the world is like, man, I ain't trying to hear that. Because I got enough governmental control, environmental control, my baby mama tripping, my homeboys tripping, my boss tripping, the homies up the block tripping. The last thing I want is somebody else tripping on me. Telling me what to do. And so for me, man, just to summarize it, again, it can play out in multiple ways. But ultimately, I think a lot of what's within our culture, just like picking up the lights, I think people are picking up the vibe that Christianity is controlling. So they're picking it up through YouTube, they're picking it up through their homies. Like you said earlier, they visited a church and they got church hurt because the pastor came off crazy, or they tried to join a ministry and they didn't live up to a certain standard, or, blah, blah, blah. But it plays out somehow where they're like, man, I can't do this.
Yeah.
Too many rules, too many hoops to jump through.
Yeah.
Can't do it.
Yeah.
And on top of it all, there's this condemning message that if I don't line up just right, that this God that you want me to serve is going to send me to a lake of fire where I burn forever. Man, I ain't trying to deal with all that. I would rather convince myself that God ain't real, hell ain't real, Jesus ain't real, because it's way easier to just keep doing me than to put myself in this mess, and now I got to deal with all of these different elements as well. So,
and that's the controlling part. That's the main key.
It is, dude.
And men have a very hard time.
Come on.
With control. They have to be in control.
Absolutely, baby. Women too. I don't leave the women out, but yeah. Yes.
We as a people, we have
man.
this, I have to be in control. I am gonna make the decision.
Yes, sir.
You can't tell me what to do. If you tell me what to do, I'ma purposely do the opposite.
Correct. To show you.
You said it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Because you said it.
Yes, sir.
But see, that's the thing that kind of kills me, because it's like we have that situation, but yet and still, you got that idea, you got that from somebody else, from another teaching, from another person, from somebody else that taught you these ways that you can't have. You need to be in control. To make your own decision. Yes, there is a time. There is that time where you need to take control of your life, your own life, and make the decisions that you need to make. Right. And I think that's the number one thing that us as human beings, we need to take into real consideration, real deep thought, that these small choices that we make in our lives end up being can make or break you.
Man.
Can make or break your life for the next 10 years.
Yep. Easy.
These small steps that you've been taking, you know, and that's, see, I didn't have that mentorship. I didn't have those outlets that I can go to now.
Right.
I didn't have the knowledge that I have now. And that's the main focus as to why I'm personally putting aside the time, the effort to show that there are options, there are outlets for us men to get on the right track at an early age so that we can progress our families, our city, our community. You know, that's what I'm, you know, what I can't regret.
No, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Because, you know, it's something that I never had.
Right. Yep.
You know, so it's something that I want to bring to the table that I feel as though that is not there.
Right.
So, you know, I think God is talking to me more and more about that and how to implement these things for men. Have you ever, you being a man of faith, have you ever lost faith? Have you ever encountered a time where you're gonna be like, the hell with this?
Right.
Have you came to that point, and when you did, or if you did,
Right.
how did you get back on track?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yes, and I think we all do. You know how our pastor says, if something ain't, you know, gotten to you yet, you know, it's coming to a theater near you. So yes, if you haven't lost your faith at some point, if you are a Christian, then it's coming to a theater near you. Something's gonna happen where you're gonna be like, God either doesn't have the power to help me, you know, here, or you're gonna reflect on what happened and you're gonna say God doesn't have the power, or God doesn't care enough to have prevented, you know, this thing. So for me, yeah, man, and it's funny that you asked that because I don't know if she's on my first one or my second one. And I usually don't even wear these anymore, but I put it on. But this one is mom's.
Okay.
So this one is of my mother, and then this one was a gift from one of my sons. But I lost my faith, or I questioned my faith, however you want to put it.
Okay.
But I said the hell with it when she died. Because I was still what they would consider a babe in Christ, still new to the faith, still figuring things out. Obviously, you know, not where I am today. But like I had one prayer. Like we had just moved to Cali, like, you know, like you said, we came from Ohio 2,000 miles away, moved to California by faith, got hooked up in the church, and I had one request. Like I don't remember praying, and I still don't pray for material things. Like I don't know why, I just don't really care too much about them. I just care about people.
Yeah.
So for whatever reason, but I just wasn't praying, Lord, give me this, Lord, give me that. All I prayed was, and I prayed this often, you know, hook it up so that my mom can come and visit. Because in Toledo, it's flatland. It's all flat. Far as the eye can see, it's just like sky and just fields. So when we got to Cali, man, I'm like, yo, man, look at these mountains. Look at the ocean. We go to Santa Monica, we go to Newport, we go to what, you know, all these different things. And I just wanted moms to see the beauty of California.
Okay.
Like, man, I remember pulling up the first day we, you know, got to LAX, we got picked up, and because our pastors were here in Pasadena, I remember them driving us through Old Town. Oh my God. I thought the streets was as wide as the ocean, dude. Now we drive down Colorado and it's like, yeah, it's Colorado.
Yeah,
But for some reason, my eyes saw Colorado Boulevard in Old Town like we just stepped into the greatest thing ever. So I was just blew away, like, man, we in California. So I wanted moms to experience that, because moms had a rough, we all had a rough life.
Yeah.
And she had a rough life. I won't even go into all of the things that she had to deal with, but she lived a hard life, man. And so I just wanted moms to, come to Cali. Lord. And we didn't have no money back then. We was just getting started. We got evicted. Money was short. And she died, man. And to this day, the family was on some hush. I don't know. I just left it alone. But she died mysteriously. Let's just put it that way. They never gave me, her son, a clear description of how she passed away. For whatever reason, I'm gonna leave that alone. If God wants me to know, he'll tell me. But my prayer was, Lord, let us get a plane ticket, have enough money saved up, yada, yada, yada. Like whatever is involved in getting her out here to see California, that's my prayer. And she passes away before she ever visits California. And in that moment, I said, man, God, you full of it, dude. You full of it, and I was on that high horse, like, I hear what other people praying about, cars, big ministry, breakthrough. That's a big word in the Christian faith. I want breakthrough. Man, I wasn't asking for none of that. Breakthrough and miracles, signs, wonders, healings, manifestations, windfalls, all of that lingo. I could care two nickels about that stuff. And I still could care two nickels about that stuff. All I wanted was mama to come to California. And he couldn't give me that. So I was like, man, forget this, man. This is crap. So I went back to porn. I went back to drinking. I wanted to go back to smoking weed. But when I tell you, and that's a whole other episode, when I tell you he delivered me, there was just no desire. Like in my anger at God, I wanted to go back to weed because I wanted to, in a sense, punish God for punishing me. So I said, I'm gonna go back to I'm gonna go back to the dirty magazines, I'm gonna go back to masturbating, I'm gonna go back to, not going to church halfway. I'm gonna sit way in the back, halfway through the service. I'm gonna sit there just for my wife's sake. And then before service ends, so that don't nobody see me, I'm gonna leave early. I mean, I was doing all of that, but I couldn't go back to weed because he just literally delivered me from weed. So I just could not go back to it because he just took it away. But my point is, I did everything I could to get back at God for doing me like that. That's the way I felt. And so after a couple of months, there was a conference in Boston, our mother church, Jubilee. Shout out to Jubilee Christian Center out there in Boston on Blue Hill. That's the street that it's on. And so there was a conference out there. Actually, when I got ordained, at that time, the bishop is the one that ordained me. So Bishop Thompson. So we went out to his church. PK took us out there, and it was a 2 or 3 day conference. But they had early morning prayer every morning, like 5 in the morning. Whoever wanted to show up, the doors are open. Come in, pray, get your prayer on for about an hour. Then go back home and whatever. So about day 2, I went to the early morning prayer. And that's where God spoke to me, because I was on my face and I was doing my normal, I'm just going through the motions. I'm just here. PK brought me out here, just whatever. And I was just literally going through the motions.
Okay.
Like, I ain't gonna piss him off. I'm gonna please him. People pleasing. I'm gonna please him. I'll go to the morning prayer because that's what men do. Mighty men of God. We pray in the morning. Blah blah blah. So I'll just go through the motions. And God said, it's a very simple statement, but it meant so much. It meant so much. I remember God saying it like yesterday. He says, I know that was your mom, but she was my daughter before she was your mom. And just them words just broke me down, dude. Like, I sat there and just cried, and it just broke me down. And I could feel like if I was to pour this water over your head, like you ever, like been in the shower and feel water like just fall. I felt like inside of my skin, like I could feel a release. All the hatred, all the madness. I'm just, forget God. Yada, yada. Everything went away right in that moment. Like, yeah, she was your mom, but she was my daughter first. And I was like, and what it communicated to me was God shares in our sufferings. And then through revelation, you start looking at the scriptures and you start looking at Jesus, and you can pretty much align every problem that a human has. If you look through scriptures, through the 4 gospels, you can pinpoint every issue that we ever have. Jesus experienced it. There's a story that says Jesus experienced it. Every one of them. Grieving, loss, Lazarus, rejection, Pharisees, people doubting who you are, his own disciples. I mean, the list goes on and on. If we feel it, he felt it, so he's in it with us. So it was like it pained him to see me lose her, and then as I grew in my faith, I understood God don't kill nobody. God gives us life for a set time. What we do with that time, that's on us. That ain't God punishing me. How about I could have, if you really want to play games, how about I could have said, hey, PK, let me borrow $300. Let me fly my mama out here. Let's get her to see it, California. And maybe we can't do all the fun stuff. We can't go to Disneyland and we can't do yada, yada, yada. But I could have got her out here. She could have had the experience and we could have sent her home. That's just one hypothetical scenario.
Yeah.
As I look back at it, it wasn't that God didn't allow her to come out here. It was I didn't do enough to make that happen. I could have used all kinds of resources. Like I know in our congregation, people that got a lot of money. All I had to do was ask. So did God punish me? Did God reject me? Did God not show up and show out? Nah. Javale, you just didn't do enough to make said desire happen. Faith without works.
Wow.
So yeah, man.
That was good.
Yeah, man.
That was good. With your experience with that situation, you've had, with what you explained, you had a ultimate experience with God during that time, and I think experience is a lot more better than belief.
Yeah, yeah.
Because you can believe what somebody says.
Yep.
Somebody tells you something, and 4 other people tell you.
Exactly.
I'm gonna start to believe it.
Yes.
You're
Yeah,
gonna start to believe that.
Yeah.
Oh, he an a-hole.
Yep.
3 other people confirmed it.
Confirmed.
Okay, now in your mind,
Yes.
that's what he is. Before you even met him.
Ain't met him.
Ain't even.
He that
Just
crazy.
said what's up. And that's it.
Yes.
And all of a sudden, he's that a-hole. So you're treating him,
Yeah.
and you don't even know it.
Don't.
But you're treating him as that person,
Yes.
compared to experience.
Correct.
Now you've encountered. Now you've had a conversation with this person,
Yes.
and now all of a sudden, you've experienced
Yes.
what he experienced and how he is, and the reason why he is, and why people would think
Right. Yep.
he's that a-hole, but he's not.
Nope.
Really, he's not.
Right.
So, with the experience from you, do you think that people need that experience, that touch from God, in order for them to understand that there is a God, that there is Jesus, that for them to believe it? Is there this whole little motion of a lot of Christians say, I was touched at this time. I remember this one time.
Yeah.
Do you think that experience is needed in order for them to feel the change, in order for them to understand that there is a God, that there is Jesus, that he lives in me?
I think to some degree, yes. I don't think it's needed to get the ball rolling, but I do think there needs to be a crossroad experience, a fork in the road experience,
Okay.
that is unexplainable. Because right now there's a lot of people that are using logic and wit and science to convince themselves that there is no God.
Or a coincidence.
Or coincidence. That's a huge word right now. That's a big word right now that's floating through the internet. Well, how do you know that just wasn't a coincidence? Well, how do you know that it wasn't? So every coin can be flipped on the other side.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
As you were talking about the experience, I thought you were leading up to, because I was vibing with you, I thought you were leading up to the fact that other people can say that guy is an a-hole, but they're saying that, but you haven't experienced that guy yet, you know, for yourself. And much is true of God. Many people are rejecting God because they've not experienced God, but they're going off of what other people have said, which, to your point, yes, they need to have the experience, because everything else, and this is something that I tell people, everything else leading up until that point that you experience God is a trial period, in my opinion.
Okay.
And I tell people, try God. You tried all the things that you're doing. See, the one thing that I'll always go back to people with, because we don't force faith, we don't force religion, we don't force the relationship with God. That's not even our job.
Yeah.
If you're happy, like at your core, like you really are a genuinely happy person, and you don't feel a need for anything else in your life, you're probably not the person I need to be talking to. Because if you're satisfied, how can I make you more satisfied?
Yeah.
Now, I get there's an argument. You talk to the right minister, they'll say, no, brother, you're supposed to be warning them about the eternal life. Okay, that's fine, dude, that's fine. I get it. My philosophy within this thing is, why waste time with someone who's already convinced that they're good? I need to start working with the people who know they ain't good. So now, in the context of working with people who know I ain't good, try God. Let's say you tried, for me, just for my experience, I tried pornography to be happy. I'm not happy. I actually feel worse. I tried to drink to be happy. Actually, I feel worse. I tried smoking weed. I tried sex. I tried, I don't know, whatever. All those tries, the one thing that they have in common is I tried. So just try Jesus. You ain't gotta commit. Try him, date him, find out. Just try. And I believe that if you try, then he'll take it from there.
Yeah. And that's good, because, you know, I've tried all of those things. I've tried the friend route. I've tried the gang route.
Yeah.
I've tried the drug route. I've tried doing it on my own route.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know, and I got to a dead end each time.
Every time.
I got disappointed every single time.
Yes. Yep.
Until these past few years.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I wanted to bring in as far as the topic of what I wanted to talk about. So I was kind of thinking, like, back in high school. So I was such a good kid.
Right.
You know, I was a straight A student. You know,
In like elementary?
Yeah, mom ain't never had no problem with me.
Okay.
You know, I played ball. You know, I was good.
Yeah.
Church every weekend.
Okay.
In the children's choir, youth choir. helped out Vacation
Right.
Bible School, boom, boom, boom. Every Wednesday night service,
Oh, man.
mom
Yeah.
was taking me, listen to Bishop Reed. I still remember him as a child, listening to him.
Wow.
Bishop Reed,
Yeah.
man, he was. Well, as a little kid, it was just amazing to hear him.
And he was talking to the kids or
No,
to the
he,
congregation?
he came for one time to Pasadena. I think it was like for a revival.
Oh, okay,
Remember
okay,
that
cool.
It used to be a revival.
Wow.
Service.
Dang.
Yeah, those where we had all like a whole week of service. So we would come in and certain preachers would come in, or Pastor Cushman would do his thing.
Okay.
So we had a revival week,
Yeah.
and different preachers would come in and speak the word. But as a little kid, I would hear that, and I never took in what it was actually being said. I was just there.
Okay.
It was just a body there. I never understood what was going on. It was a routine.
Yeah.
It was just a routine that I had to go to church. Mom and dad brought me to church, brought us to church.
Yeah.
We had to go.
Yeah. That's
There
it.
was no staying home.
Nah.
Right. So
Right.
I had this point from like till about 8th grade.
Yeah.
It's cool. I was on point, and then I thought about it. I was like, it's an influence. This influence came of where I saw young black men, of how they acted, how they treated other people, how they were so outgoing.
Wow.
Their personality was, I don't care.
Okay. Yep.
I'm gonna do me.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
And I saw that.
Yeah.
I was never warned of that.
Okay.
I was
yeah.
never look out for that, type thing.
Right.
And it intrigued me.
Yeah. Man. Yeah.
So it influenced me.
Yep.
It got in my system, and it was something different.
Yeah.
When we find something different, a different route, a different thing, it's intriguing to us.
It is.
It catches our eye.
Yep.
Because we're so used to this one thing, and then when we see how this is going, it's like,
Right.
ooh, okay.
Right. What's this over here?
What's this about?
Yeah.
Let me see what this is about.
Right.
So I got influenced by them, and I was looking up the thing of why did they say that why do they call it DUI, driving under the influence? So I looked up the word influence.
Okay.
So it says it can be broken down into two parts.
Okay.
In, which is the prefix, and it often indicates like into or within.
Okay.
And influence is a Latin word, and it means to flow. So
Wow.
influence suggests the flow of an effect or power or impact.
Wow.
So driving under the influence indicates you're under the influence of drugs, alcohol.
Right.
You're driving under, and you're driving. So the DUI. So I started to think, I was like, okay, what about the other thing about influence? It directed the path that I started to go.
Yeah.
So because of that influence that I had, it put me on another route.
Oh yeah.
It changed my route.
Yeah.
And that's why streets have a left, right, or straight forward. You could U-turn.
Wow.
You could do all that.
Yep.
But so I came up with the concept of directions under the influence. And based on your influence is the direction you're gonna go.
That's real. That's really real.
And I found out that
Wow.
the influence that I had for so long, that was the route that I was taking the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
And because of what I heard, because of what I saw, because of what I put myself through during those times,
Right.
I adapted to it. It was normal.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was the only life
Right.
for me, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I started to think, I was like, you know, cause that's when rap was at its high peak. That's when it was some good rap.
Good
man.
rap.
I mean some good, like it had some knowledge in it. It had
Man.
some, you know, it had some real stuff in it.
Yeah.
And you wanted, it was to the fact where these cats was preaching a life that you wanted.
Yeah.
That you were like, oh yeah, I want that. You know, you saw the music videos. You were like, oh,
Yeah.
the influence,
Yes, man. Yes.
things, the friends, the rap music, the things you were doing. It influenced
Yes.
me.
Wow.
And then I thought about, I was like, you know,
Wow.
I did that for 2 decades of my life.
Mm-hmm.
2 decades of my life I spent
Mm.
in that environment,
Yeah.
in that mindset. That's 20 years
Mm-hmm.
of waste.
Yeah.
It was an experience.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
Right.
Like it was an experience.
Yeah.
It was but it controlled my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I didn't know
Yeah.
that it was controlling me. I thought that I was controlling it.
Right. Right. Yep. That's always the illusion.
So I lost
Wow.
thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
I lost my family,
Mm.
like my immediate family, and like my kids.
Mm-hmm.
Like at a moment,
Yeah.
I was homeless throughout that time
Right.
and depressed. All those things came in within those years,
Yeah.
but I never changed.
Yep. Yep. Mm-hmm.
I kept going into that same influence.
Yes, sir.
But during that time, it was someone there.
Mm.
It was somebody there that was guiding me, that was protecting me, still during that time. I still remember.
Wow.
And there was a lot of years that I was driving actually under the influence almost every day. Almost every day. I couldn't live without it. Woke up drinking.
Yeah.
Went to play basketball drinking. Went to work drinking.
Right.
Break time, drinking. Lunchtime, drinking.
Yep.
Drinking all day long. You know?
Yep.
But I had one DUI out of that whole process.
Wow.
One DUI.
Out of 20 years.
Yep. One DUI. And if that ain't the grace of God,
Man. Right. And no
that ain't no
accidents?
coincidence.
No.
That ain't no coincidence.
Man.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. As frequently as you.
That ain't no
Right.
coincidence.
No.
To me,
That
my experience, it's no coincidence for me.
Wow.
And you know, I went through so many things through this route. You know, drove away from the police at one point on the freeway, got away.
Right.
Like I can actually say that
Right.
that I drove from the police going almost 120 through the freeway, zigzagging, just trying to get away from an undercover cop. That I was going to, I had got onto the freeway
Right.
and already hit 100. So he saw me, flicked the lights on.
Okay.
Now he's driving behind me. Here I am calling my mom.
What?
I called my mom talking about, I'm going to jail, see you later. She said, what? Yell her on the phone. She gave the phone to my dad. My
Right.
dad telling me to pull over.
Right. Yeah.
I told him, I'm sorry, I can't. I'll see you in a little bit. I'm sitting there bawling, crying. I'm nervous. I'm like, man, but I couldn't stop.
Huh.
But I kept going, and I got away.
Boy.
I exited the freeway, ran a red light. I could have got hit.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
All that.
Easy.
All that.
Yep. Yep.
I got away.
And he could have called back up. And you know how we watch him on
He
TV.
could have ran in plates.
Easy.
There is so many things that could have took factor into that situation.
Yep.
I went scot-free.
Wow.
Scot-free.
Wow.
And to this day, I remember the feeling, I remember where I was at, I remember every single thing. I was drunk as a skunk, and I had just got my DUI. I had just got my DUI, and it was like a month later.
Right. Wow.
And those things that I can remember now,
Yeah, man. Yeah.
it's like, wow.
Yes. Yep.
How? It's like, how? How?
Right.
So, but I kept doing the same things.
Yeah.
And it kept getting worse, kept getting worse, kept getting worse.
Yeah.
Until, I met you. Until I started surrounding myself with good people. Started going back to church. The influence, I slowly started changing.
Yeah.
I slowly started implementing. I hated reading. Started reading.
Okay, yeah.
Forced myself
Yeah.
to start reading.
Yeah. Yep.
Forced myself to listen to positive things.
Yeah.
I remember in high school, my good buddy right now, he said, "You so negative. Like you're so negative. Like everything is like you doubt."
Wow.
That stuck with me still to this day.
Yeah, he told you the truth, huh? Yeah, that's a real homie.
Yeah, but it's like,
Right.
and part of that reason why he said that, well, what he said still changes my life today. And so I decided I'm gonna change the influence that I have.
Yeah.
So instead of me waking up to rap, listening to rap throughout the day, I put the Christian music on. I put something that's gonna lift my spirit.
Yeah.
So I changed my influences, and I'm sure you had influences. I'm sure you came across many influences.
A lot of the ones you had.
Similar.
Very similar. Lining up. Yeah.
How did you change? What made you change?
Man, well, I mean, because we're so similar, the way that my story went, again, it was seeing Cats in the Hood and just mimicking and being around. Never joined the gang, but I might as well have been in one because you couldn't pick me out from the crowd. Like you couldn't say, "Oh, he's different than the rest of them." No, I look just like them. I'm doing what they're doing.
Acting just like them.
Acting
Taking
just like
part
them.
of what they doing.
Yeah.
Yep.
So if the other side came running through, I'm getting shot too.
Yep. Yep.
So yeah, but no, but how I changed influences, I think it was the way I came into my faith, because I was in jail. So I was already dealing with a crossroad situation, just in general. I didn't see Jesus coming, but I knew my lifestyle had to change anyway, because I had a son, and because I had a girlfriend who's my wife now. I didn't want to repeat the cycle. I have a great relationship with my father now, but my father didn't raise me. So at that time, all I'm thinking of is I don't want to repeat that cycle. So all the dirt I was doing, because I was a stick-up kid, and I was a thief. Like those were my two main things. Well, and a gambler. Like I've always done the shooting dice and doing that or whatever. Got into the drugs. Sold weed, sold crack, sold opiums, stuff like that. But my main two things were I'm breaking in something, and I'm sticking up somebody. And so when I got caught for the grand theft and I went to jail, that gave me time to think something has to change. Because the path that I'm on, I was facing 15 because it was a grand theft. So at best I'll do 7 years, at worst I'll do 15. But neither one of them looked too good to me because that meant 7 years not in my son's life, repeating the cycle. Now at that time I didn't know how I was going to prevent it because I was guilty, and that's where Jesus came in, and that's that whole story. But I think I changed my influences because I had something greater influencing me. You know what I'm saying? So it's almost like this is one influence, but if you put that up to the other one, like that one's actually higher, right? Greater. So this is one influence that had me for the first whatever years, 23 years. But this influence was greater. So it started with my son, my girlfriend, and then on that Sunday morning in jail, it became Jesus. So for me, it was something greater moved in. Now, I was still smoking weed. I was still doing porn. I was still doing life my way. But that ridiculous stuff, and not that the three things I just mentioned weren't ridiculous, but like stick-ups, done. Can't do stick-up because I go to jail. Can't do the stick-up because I'll put my life in danger. Robbery, breaking into stuff, can't be breaking into no more buildings, can't be robbing nobody else because that would put me in that situation. So that was almost like a night and day. It was like instantaneous. These things I cannot do. The other ones are not technically crimes. Like if you think about it, smoking weed, yes, but no. No one's going to jail life without parole for smoking weed. Pornography, that's legal in our country, right? And controlling your own life, that's a no-brainer. That's not even fathomable as a crime. So I still had those three things working in a negative way, but the crimes, just doing dirt, that was instantaneous. I just cannot do those things anymore because I care about my son and I care about my girlfriend too much to do those things. Now, prior to them, that's where I had 3 life-threatening situations where I didn't care. If my life was taken, I did not care. When they came into my life, son, wife, Jesus, then I started caring. I don't want to lose my life now. I want to preserve my life. So for me, that's, and obviously there's a lot to the Jesus story and there's a lot to the whole transition, but in a nutshell, just something else just moved in, just something greater came in. So, yeah.
Do you think that's what we need in order for us to change our routes? For us to care for something besides ourselves?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because that's that quote. I ain't gonna wish. I'm gonna memorize that quote because that comes up a lot. I think a lot of people need to know it. But the one I shared with you, I think I might have texted it to you. But the one where it says, a man will do good for himself. He'll do even better for others, but he'll do phenomenal for a cause. And a cause always represents an idea, or even an ideal. That one right there.
It says men will work hard for money. They will work harder for other men. But men will work the hardest of all when they are dedicated to a cause.
Man, I got to commit that to memory. Because I want to preach that. I want that a part of my speeches. I want that a part of just coming off my tongue when I talk to folks. because that's actually scriptural, man. Remember the scripture that says that without a vision, the people perish, which is translated, without a vision, the people cast off all restraints. So the vision represents a cause, an idea, an ideal of what the future holds. So even you, I mean, earlier you talked about it, right? It was like no man wakes up wanting life to be the same or getting worse. You all wake up with the hope that things might get better. So that's your cause, that's your vision. And so to answer your question, absolutely, we all need a cause. We all need a vision that propels us and pulls us to that next level. Because without it, you will become complacent, or worse, you'll become depressed. And you'll just say, man, whatever with life, ain't nothing to live for, ain't nothing to, because again, a man without a vision will cast off restraints. In other words, there's nothing on the line, that's why I can cast off the restraint. When you cast off a restraint, you stop caring what happens to you. That is the hallmark of the first 23 years of my life. I had no restraints. I was reckless, even in my bio, like my professional bio, as it goes through my little timeline, it says literally the word reckless criminal. I was reckless because I was so bold that I didn't care if I got caught by the person I was doing it to. I didn't care, to some degree, the police, because they would interrupt this situation, right? But I mean, in terms of my life, I was at a point where there was no value associated with my life, in my eyes. So I could become reckless and cast off restraints. Why? Because I had no vision of anything better. I had no vision of anything better. So why not die? Why not kill me? Why not? You know, when the cats put the gun in my head, when I was sitting in the backseat of the car, had an ounce of weed in my pants. And when I tell that story, jaws dropping and all of that, it's like, no, you don't get it. I didn't think I was worth anything. So if you actually kill me, A, so what? But B, if I get away, which actually happened, and I played it to the T, if I get away, I'm gonna boast. I'm gonna tell you, look at how you didn't pump me off my weed. How you put a gun in my head and I still didn't give it up. You can't take this from me. I don't care about you. I don't care about me. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, it was a no, it's the weirdest thing. It was a no-win situation, yet it was a no-lose situation. It was no win that I would actually fight somebody with a gun in my head, actually two guns, because the guy in the front seat had it pointed at me, but the other guy had a gun pointed to my head. It was no win as in either you take the weed and I lose, or you blow my head off in the backseat of a car in an alleyway and I lose. And on the flip side, there's no, like for me, it was no lose, well, I'm sorry, that was the no win. Like if you take it, I don't win because you get away with my stuff. Or if you kill me, I don't win because you take my life. But on the flip side, I don't lose because I already don't care about myself. So if you kill me, so what? But if I actually get away, look at me, boy. You can't, what? I ain't scared of no guns, nigga. I ain't scared. I ain't scared of nobody out here. What? You can't take nothing from me. That's how nutty you get. And now looking back at it, I'm like, man, how many, to our point, to our purpose, in doing what we're doing right now in real time, how many young cats at 20 years old, like I was, are already at that point? And theirs may come off differently. Theirs may not be weed, theirs may be, I don't know, somebody run up in their house. And, you know, they don't survive, or, you know, they out there on the block selling their thing, and the homies pull up around the corner and, you know, point the guns out the car. Like, I don't know. But how many young cats is at that point and they will not see 21, not see 22, not see 23? And if we can somehow, I mean, I'm kind of going off my point now, but I'm just saying, if we can somehow get something out here into the world, into the atmosphere, YouTube, podcasts, word of mouth, something, where they might hear one of our stories and be like, all right, well, If them cats is still here at 40-something years old, and it was by no doing of their own, because neither one of us, you can't take credit for zipping through LA traffic at 100 miles an hour and getting away from a cop that could have, as we've seen a million times on Channel 7, Channel 2, whatever, back up, and you got 9,000 cop cars following this one cat, but they didn't do it to you. The cat that had the gun in my head, he pulled the trigger, but the bullet never came out. These are things we cannot take credit for.
Yes. Amen.
So we gotta say there's a God. We gotta say there's a purpose for our lives.
And that's the reason why I called it direction under influence.
Yeah.
You know, so we have to take in consideration now that we have to put these influences, the right influences, in our lives in order for us to be in the right direction, go on the right road.
Yeah.
There's gonna be cars on your road.
That's right.
That's gonna stop in front of you. It's gonna keep you from going straight.
Yep.
There's gonna be different roads you can take. You can make a left turn, make a right turn.
Yes.
You could veer off, drift off.
Yep.
But you have to keep, you have to put in the work.
Yeah.
Just like you put in the work with everything else.
Everything else.
You wake up and you go to work.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
If your car break down the next day, you gotta find a way to get to work still.
Right.
The boss ain't gonna say, "Oh, I'm sorry.
Nope.
You can just stay home. It's fine. We'll still pay you.
Right.
We'll cover you. It's okay."
Right.
Nah, he
We'll
gonna have
cover
an
you
issue.
Yeah.
He gonna be like, "You get here,
Right.
or you know what? We ain't paying you."
That's right. That's right. Yes.
You know?
Need that service.
Yeah, exactly.
Need them services.
So everything involves putting in work.
Yeah.
And people think that this God, Jesus, is just supposed to be, if I accept him, he needs to do for me.
Wow. That's a whole episode. Wow.
And I just find it funny that people can sit here and just be like, well, he gives these promises. He said that he can change. He said that he will do.
Yeah.
But you're not putting in the work to have that relationship with him. And that's where my change has came in.
Okay.
Because I am now seeking that relationship.
Yep.
And I noticed I got baptized recently. And, you know, I thought it was going to be this awakening. Thought it was going to be this 360, this whole, you know, I could fly now.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
I was, you know, you baptized me
Right here.
And after a couple of days, I said, I need to put in that work. I need to put in my soul the good things and the things that he says that I need to do in order for me to have this abundant life. I came to give you abundant life.
Yes.
And just like you said, Jesus went through everything that we go through now. He has been through it. He has been betrayed by his own brother. And somebody said something, I was watching a show, and the show said something. It said, did you know the Bible in the first, I think he said 24 chapters. It was an actual show, Fargo. It said the first 24 chapters of the Bible, it said, it showed brothers betraying brothers.
Yeah. That's
Cain
a good point.
and Abel.
That's a good point.
Joseph and his brothers. Esau.
That's
and Jacob.
wild. Okay. Check
And
that
I was
out.
like, dang. And you know, we put these trusts into people. And all these sayings, all these good sayings, all these things, they come from another man.
Wow. Yep.
But yet you choosing to follow Muhammad, choosing to follow. Hey, by all means.
Right. Right.
As long as you on a good path.
Yeah.
I'm on a good path.
Yeah.
Hey, we we can figure this out.
Right. Yeah.
Champ,
yeah.
you good with me.
Yeah. Exactly.
You know, you respect me, I respect you.
Yeah.
And I think we're here. We are not trying to put you to say like, hey, we want you to be Christianity. We want to call you Christian.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's just that is a religion name.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It is.
So we want to be able to have a good life.
Yeah.
Now, whether you want to have it with Jesus or not, that's your option. So we have to put ourselves in the position to be to accept the blessings
Yeah.
of God.
Yes.
And that's our goal.
It is.
That's our goal for men and what we want. And so by you listening to this,
Mm-hmm.
it's you've been exposed.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
You've been exposed.
That's right.
And like
Yes.
and like Pastor has been preaching and said that it's gonna be for the year. We have to be intentional
Yep.
about what we want.
Yeah.
And that what God has for us, we have to be intentional with our lives to get those blessings.
Yep. Yep.
And that's the goal that I want for men. Before they go that route, before they say, oh, I got away with it, I can get away with it again.
Man. Yeah.
Oh, I got away with it this time, now I can do this.
Yeah.
There's only so many chances.
Yeah.
And you got one life.
Yep. Yep.
So we are just trying to expose you to your possibilities.
Yeah. That's right.
And just like his sweater says,
Yeah, man.
you are the possible.
Yep. Yep.
So in closing, you know, we're here to try to make a change, and you can help us make a change. If you need prayer, if you need, you know, any type of mentorship, you know, we have all our things up on YouTube. Reach out to us if you have questions. If you disagree, please.
Right.
That's what we're here for.
Exactly.
We just here to talk. We don't want no problems.
Right.
But you know, that's what I think our goal is.
Yeah.
And we just want to do the best we can to help out our brothers, our community, and the world.
Yeah.
You know.
No, I agree with that. I
Do
agree
you
with
have
that.
anything to add on in closing?
No, man, just to piggyback on you know, really what you said. You know, we aren't afraid of you know, conversations. Obviously, this is what we're looking to create. That's why we created it as a conversation style, for you to listen in on the conversation. But we also invite you to leave comments below. We invite you to click the links below to get in contact, you know, with us. You know, email us if you need to, or you know, just ask questions in the comments field. We definitely want to chop it up with you. Definitely want to answer your questions, things that you might not be clear on, things you might just want to comment on and just, you know, put your 2 cents on, something that you might want to expound upon. One thing that we do acknowledge is that every voice is valuable. Every voice is valuable. Your voice is valuable. So we want to hear your voice, if nobody else, because sometimes we ain't got nobody else in our life that cares to listen to us. A lot of, you know, brothers are feeling unseen, unheard. So, you know, we just doing our part, man. I remember my mentor said something that was really profound. I didn't catch it at first, but it kind of went over my head. But later on, when I reflected on it, it really hit me. and this was my mindset coach. I've had a mindset coach the last couple of years, and he says, all I want to do is help people to improve 1%. And you know, when you first hear it, I'm like, 1%? Man, that's not a lot.
Yeah.
You know, we take over the world. He said, just 1%. Just 1%. Because 1% is manageable.
Yeah.
1% is logical, doable.
Yeah.
You can actually believe you could help somebody 1%.
Yeah.
And who are you to think that you need to help them any more than that? So that's what I'm getting across. We don't think more than like we don't think more of ourselves than we ought to. I mean, that's scripture. Paul says, man, don't boast on you. Don't think of yourself so great. Just do your part consistently, faithfully. Let the Lord increase you. Let the Lord do whatever the Lord's going to do. So this is our little 1%. This is our little part. But we're here for you, and we want to hear from you. We're not perfect, not trying to be, never will be, until we are called to that eternal spot. And we're already in that eternal spot. Eternity already started for us. Heaven's already started, but you get my point. But yeah, man, just to add on to what my brother is saying, just two humble brothers looking to make a difference, starting here, and you know, doing what we can do, and that's using our voices to help to positively influence and you know, impact those around us. And so we want to inspire you to, you know, do the same, you know, to use your voice to do what you can do in the world. But you got to get started somewhere. So yeah, man, that's it. You know, get in contact with us, or, you know, if you've not already subscribe to the channel. Thumbs up, emojis, happiness, sadness, upsetness, whatever you want to do, good, bad, and the ugly. We want to hear from you, because at the end of the day, engagement is king. If we know what's on your heart, if we know what's on your mind, if you have questions, then we can tailor this conversation for you and help you to unpack some of those things, all right? So that you don't feel like you're in this thing by yourself.
Yes, sir.
That's it, man. All right, you good? All right, that's it.